Why German RCH-155 is the best of all howitzers today. It is Monday, January 26, 2026, and the rules of artillery warfare have, well, they've just been rewritten. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. I'm Alex. Join me with Aria in the latest podcast by Defense Report for a sharp, no-nonsense breakdown of the latest in global defense news, military technology, and strategic developments. And today we're going to cover a machine that, according to the laws of physics, or at least what we thought they were, shouldn't really exist. We are doing a deep dive on the RCH-155.
It really is a technological anomaly. For the last century, if you were an artillery commander, you had this really painful choice.
Right.
You could be heavy and well-protected, or you could be light and mobile. You could never really be both. And you certainly couldn't fire a precision shot while you were driving.
And yet, that's exactly what we're unpacking today. We're talking about the world's only artillery system that can fire precision 155-millimeter rounds while driving at 30 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
It just turns the battlefield into a high-speed game of cat and mouse where the cat never, ever stops.
It completely changes the rhythm of combat. And we're not just talking about some big gun on wheels here. We're going to get into how Ukrainian software is turning this German hardware into something you could call an automated Uber for artillery.
Slashing that response time down to just seconds.
Mere seconds. And then there's the hunter-killer mode.
Which, that sounds bizarre. A howitzer acting like a battle tank,
Mm-hmm.
and the true revolution cutting a 5-person team down to just 2.
And then there's the impossible shot, hitting targets 54 kilometers away without ever deploying support legs. It's a lot to get through.
So let's start with that headline feature, the impossible capability. Fire on the move. To the average person, this might just sound like a luxury feature.
Right, like heated seats in a car.
Exactly. But in high-intensity conflict, especially looking at Ukraine, this is a revolution. So why is it so hard to do?
Well, it all comes down to stability. Think about every other major system out there. The Swedish Archer, the French Caesar, even the incredible German RCH-2000. They all use a doctrine called shoot and scoot.
Which is pretty self-explanatory. You shoot, and then you get out of there before someone shoots back.
Exactly. But the scoot part is much slower than people think. In a normal system, you drive to your spot. You have to stop completely. Then you deploy these huge hydraulic stabilizer legs.
Those big spades that dig into the ground?
Right, to absorb that violent recoil. Then you fire. Then you have to retract the legs, which takes time, and only then can you start driving away.
And in a world with counter-battery radar, those seconds, those minutes, they must be terrifying.
They're a death sentence. Modern radar can track a shell back to your location before it even lands. If you're stuck retracting your legs, you are a sitting duck. The RCH-155 is basically shoot and scoot 2.0. It shoots while it's scooting. It never stops.
Okay, but let's just pause on the physics of that for a second. I was reading a piece from the Wavell Room, and this skepticism was, you could feel it. They talked about the post-firing wobble. You fire a massive shell from a wheeled vehicle, the whole thing is just going to rock violently, right? How can you possibly be accurate?
And that's the completely valid engineering problem. A wheeled vehicle on suspension is, it's basically a bouncy castle compared to a tracked vehicle dug into the dirt. If a human gunner tried to pull the trigger while driving, they'd miss by a mile.
So how did KNDS solve it?
They solved it with math. It's a system called coincidence control. It's actually brilliant. The onboard computer is constantly monitoring everything: the vehicle's position, speed, the pitch of the ground, and crucially, the vibration of the barrel itself.
So when the commander says fire, it doesn't just fire.
It waits. It might only be for a millisecond, but the computer waits for the exact instant that the barrel's wobble perfectly aligns with the target coordinates. It predicts the oscillation.
So it's using the vehicle's own vibration, its own movement, to its advantage.
It's threading the needle, while the vehicle is literally bouncing over a pothole.
That is just wild. And the tactical advantage, of course, is pure survival.
It's the ultimate survival trait. KNDS ran simulations, and an RCH-155 battery was 3 times more efficient than a RCH-2000 battery. But here's the killer stat for me.
Yeah.
The vehicle moves at about 10 meters per second while firing. So let's say the enemy radar detects the shot. It takes them, let's be generous, a minute to fire back.
In that 1 minute.
The RCH-155 has already driven 600 meters away from where it fired the shot. The enemy's return fire hits an empty piece of road.
You're shooting at a ghost.
Exactly. You are practically invincible to conventional counter-battery fire.
So that brings us to the design of this thing, because visually it looks a bit cobbled together, like someone welded a futuristic tank turret onto a boxy armored bus.
That's a surprisingly good description. It's a Frankenstein monster, but in the best possible way. It's a marriage of two proven, reliable systems. The bottom half, the legs, is the Boxer 8x8 wheeled vehicle.
Which pretty much the standard for half of NATO now.
Correct. It's tough, reliable, parts are everywhere. And the top half, the fist, is the AGM, the artillery gun module. That's basically the 155mm gun from the RCH-155, but it's inside a fully automated unmanned turret.
Unmanned. So no one is inside the turret loading shells.
Nobody. It's a ghost turret. It holds 30 rounds, 144 charges, and the loading system is totally robotic. It just grabs what it needs and fires, and it can do that at a rate of 9 rounds per minute.
And because it's on wheels, I'm guessing the strategic mobility is a whole different ballgame from a tracked vehicle.
Oh, night and day. A tracked vehicle tears up roads, it breaks down over long distances, you need trains and flatbed trucks. The RCH-155 just drives. Over 100 kilometers an hour on roads, with a range of over 700 kilometers.
So you can move an entire battalion 500 miles to plug a gap in the line, and they can just drive themselves there in 24 hours.
Without needing a single train car. That's strategic agility.
Okay, so this brings us to the present day, January 2026. This isn't just a prototype anymore, and the very first operator wasn't Germany.
No, it wasn't. The first operator in the world was Ukraine. And that really speaks volumes about their role in driving military innovation. Ukraine ordered 54 of these systems.
I remember seeing the pictures from the handover a year ago with Minister Pistorius and Ambassador Makiev.
It was a huge moment, and you have to remember the context. Ukraine is fighting a war where they are often massively outnumbered in artillery. The Russian doctrine is just about raw volume.
Throwing metal at a grid square.
Right. And Ukraine can't win that game. They don't have enough barrels. They have to win by being smarter and, well, more survivable. Ambassador Makiev said it himself, "Our needs are more acute than ever."
They needed a gun that could hit hard and vanish.
Precisely. And the RCH-155 was the only thing that could really do that.
But it's not just the hardware, right? You mentioned the software, the Krupiva integration.
Yes, and this is where it gets really fascinating. Krupiva is Ukraine's homegrown combat management system. It's basically a decentralized network. You could think of it as an Uber for artillery.
Okay, so break that down. How does that work in practice?
Well, imagine a drone spots a target. In the old days, the drone operator would radio the coordinates to a command post. Someone there would write it down, radio the gun crew, and the gun crew would manually type the numbers in.
A game of telephone, with lots of room for error and delay.
Exactly. With Krupiva, that whole chain is digital and instant. The drone operator taps the target on a tablet. That data flows directly to the RCH-155's computer, no manual entry at all.
So the sensor-to-shooter time drops from minutes to what?
Single-digit seconds. The computer gets the target, the turret slews, the solution is calculated, and it's ready to fire. Combine that digital speed with the ability to fire on the move, and it's just devastatingly fast.
It's amazing how quickly Ukraine adapted a brand new German system into their own digital ecosystem.
It really is. And as of now, those initial units have been used for intensive training in Germany, and the feedback from Ukrainian operators, who are, let's face it, the most experienced artillerymen in the world right now, is actually refining the system for everyone else.
Let's talk about the crew. You said the turret is unmanned. So where are the humans?
They're tucked away safely in the hull. The RCH-155 only needs a crew of 2, a commander and a driver. That's it.
And a standard howitzer crew is what, 5?
A PZH-2000 is 5. A U.S. Paladin is usually 4. So you're cutting your manpower needs by more than half.
Which is huge for any military, but especially one trying to conserve personnel.
It is. But it's also a massive safety upgrade. In a normal howitzer, the crew is sitting right next to all the high explosives and propellant in the turret. If that gets hit, it's over.
Catastrophic.
Right. In the RCH-155, the 2 crew members are in a separate, heavily armored capsule at the front of the vehicle. They are physically isolated from all the ammunition, so if the turret takes a hit from a drone, the crew has a very, very high chance of just walking away.
It prioritizes the soldier over the machine.
Yeah.
Now, there's another feature you mentioned that sounds like it's from a video game. Hunter-killer mode. Howitzers are supposed to shoot indirectly, right? Lobbing shells for miles.
They are. But this one can lower its gun and engage targets directly, line of sight, up to about 1.8 kilometers away. So if an enemy tank suddenly appears, the RCH-155 doesn't need to call for help. It becomes the help.
I can't even imagine what a direct hit from a 155mm shell does to a tank at that range.
It's not pretty. There's almost no tank armor that can withstand that kind of kinetic energy. It would be a catastrophic disassembly.
And the hunter-killer part implies it can multitask.
Yes, that's the logic. So while the gun is automatically engaging one target, the commander can be using the sensors to find the next one. As soon as the first is destroyed, the turret just snaps to the second target instantly.
And how do they see all this? Periscopes?
Nope. It's a system from Hensoldt called SATUS, a 360-degree camera suite. It stitches the video feed together on screens inside the capsule so the crew can effectively see through the armor.
It really is a spaceship on wheels.
Yeah.
Now, we've focused on Ukraine, but as of 2026, others are buying in. There was big news recently about Germany and the UK.
Yes, the market has absolutely validated the concept. Germany is ordering over 80 units for their new medium forces brigades. But the real headline was the UK.
Right, they just signed a big deal for demonstrators.
Yeah.
But I thought they were going with the Swedish Archer to replace the AS-90s they sent to Ukraine. Why the change?
One word, logistic.
Because of the Boxer chassis.
Exactly. The British Army is already adopting the Boxer for its infantry. If you buy the RCH-155, 80% of the vehicle is identical to what you already own. The engine, the transmission, the suspension, it's all the same.
So your mechanics already know how to fix it.
And your supply chain is massively simplified. That kind of commonality is worth its weight in gold in a real conflict.
So how does it really stack up against those rivals? The Archer and the French Caesar are both battle-proven.
And they are fantastic systems. The Archer is incredibly fast and automated, but at the end of the day, it's a truck cab with less protection. It carries fewer rounds, 21 versus 30 in the RCH, and critically, it has to stop to fire.
And the Caesar.
The Caesar is a legend for being lightweight and air transportable. It's brilliant for expeditionary forces, but the crew is much more exposed. The RCH-155 is just in a different class when it comes to crew protection and that fire-on-the-move capability.
So let's talk about the actual firepower. How far can this thing reach?
With standard rounds, you're looking at around 40 kilometers, which is already very respectable, but it's designed for the advanced stuff.
Like the rocket-assisted VLAP rounds.
Exactly. The velocity-enhanced long-range artillery projectile. With VLAP, you're hitting targets 54 kilometers away.
54 kilometers. That puts you far outside the range of most conventional Russian systems.
You can hit them, they can't hit you. And with guided rounds like Volcano, you're pushing past 70 kilometers with incredible precision. But the real party trick is something called MRSI.
MRSI. Okay, breaks that down for us.
Multiple round simultaneous impact. Because the computer and autoloader are so fast, it can fire up to 5 shells at different angles, one after another, very quickly.
One high, one medium, one low, that kind of thing.
Precisely. It fires the first shell way up high, so it has a long flight time. Then it lowers the barrel slightly for the next one, which has a shorter flight time, and so on. The computer times it, so all 5 shells land on the target at the exact same second.
So for the enemy on the ground.
There's no warning. Not the usual thump, thump, thump. Just one single massive explosion as 5 155mm shells detonate at once. A single RCH-155 creates the effect of an entire battery.
And by the time the smoke clears, it's already a kilometer away.
It is an incredible force multiplier.
So bringing this all together, it really feels like this system just redefines the whole concept of an artillery piece.
It redefines the classic iron triangle. You usually have to pick 2 out of 3, lethality, protection, or mobility. The RCH-155 somehow manages to max out all 3. It turns artillery from a stationary target into a mobile predator.
It sounds like the death knell for towed artillery, for sure.
Do you think it is? In a modern war with drones and radar, if you stop, you die. Static artillery is dead artillery. The RCH-155 is the future, but I honestly think it's just a bridge.
A bridge to what?
To full autonomy. The turret is unmanned, the loading is robotic, the aiming is computerized, the driving can already be automated.
You're saying we might not even need the 2 crew members inside for much longer?
KNDS designed the system to support remote operation from day one. We're looking at the first real step toward fully robotic artillery battalions, where the crew is sitting in a safe bunker 100 miles away, supervising a swarm of these things on a laptop.
Or the guns are just operating on their own, based on drone data.
Exactly. The RCH-155 isn't just a new gun, it's the hardware platform for the future of robotic warfare, where the human is taken completely out of the line of fire.
That is a fascinating, if a little sobering, thought to end on. From the mud of the trenches to the safety of a server room.
It's happening faster than we think. And with Ukraine proving the concept on the ground, that timeline is only getting shorter.
Well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive. You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex and Aria, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. We'll catch you next time.